And welcome back, everybody, to another episode of Benched with Bubba, episode 765. We're here to recap your Week 9 NFBC FAAB to keep you up to date on what took place over the weekend. And we'll get you some news and notes to keep you ready for the upcoming week as well. Before we get to that, you can follow me on Twitter at BDentric and my co-host, as always, on Twitter at BreakingBen_T. Bented. How we doing, my friend?
Doing well, Bubba. Did some last-minute lineup adjustments thanks to the Reese Olson IL stint, and I appreciate you for letting me know about that because I would have had 4 zeros across my 10 teams, and that's not a good way to start the week.
No, that's not good. The only thing worse might be Ben Brown giving up 2 solo homers. Like everyone's going, 2 steps, streaming first start Miami. Let's go. It never fails, Ben. We always have that. We've all had it. We've all had that start. And I have a bunch of 2-step guys going this week, so I'm waiting for my turn. I'm not trying to talk trash on anybody, but that's like the worst feeling in the world to start the week.
Didn't the Marlins just beat up, I think I heard on RotoWire, it was Zach Allen? Is that who he
yes.
got? Yeah.
Pretty sure. Doesn't matter. Gallon, God, I almost we talked about a drop I made this week. We'll talk about it later, but I almost dropped Gallon this week. I am just over his in a 12 team. I know he's had his good starts, but good Lord. No, the Rockies beat him up. The Rockies.
Oh, that's who it was.
That's worse.
Even worse.
Actually. Yeah, that's worse than the Marlins doing it.
Not good.
Yeah, so that's baseball, baby. Baseball's a fun one these days. We were talking before the show is like, should we start this middle reliever because of these other pitchers? And that's where we're at these days because pitching has been very inconsistent for the most part, unless you have one like the handful of aces right now. It's been a roller coaster of emotions is the best way I'll put it. But we'll get to all that fun stuff and more. But let's get into some news and notes real quick. We can get your thoughts on these. First off, Jose Alvarado suspended 80 games for a PED violation. He said it was a weight loss substance. I love I saw on Twitter Hozempic was going around. That was a pretty good one. It was good to see. So what's your thoughts on Jordan Romano? Like, we'll obviously talk about him in depth if you want later because he's one of the most added players this week. But he's picked up 3 saves through a perfect 9th on Sunday with 3 strikeouts. What are your thoughts on Romano taking over? Do you think it's more of a committee situation there?
Well, the way I bid in FAAB, I was assuming that it would have been Romano's job going forward because I think he had like the last 3 saves, if I'm not mistaken.
Yep.
Yeah, so that's a pretty telling sign. And Roster Resource has Romano as the sole holder of the closer role. Let me pull up Closer Monkey, a.k.a. Reliever Recon, real quick. Where are they? Phillies. They still have a committee. They have Romano, Strom as the 2 in the committee there. I mean, I guess Strom would kind of replace Alvarado as the lefty matchup guy. I don't know if Strom has a save yet this year, but I mean, they did go out and sign Romano, and he's been a great closer in the past. So I think that as long as Romano continues to perform like he's been over the last few weeks, I think he'll be the full-time closer. But like with the Phillies, they never really committed to a full-time closer the last couple of years, but maybe it's just because of who they had. Now that they have Romano, I think he's more of a set it and forget it type closer. So I think he could be the guy going forward. And then, of course, Alvarado's a drop. You can't really hold on to. There's no spot allocated to people who are suspended, unfortunately. So he's a drop, and he could return. We're not halfway through the year yet. So, but I think at that point, he probably won't get saves. So, yep, it's Romano, I think, for going forward.
Yep, I went heavy on Romano, didn't get near Romano because people went much heavier, which we will discuss later on. Matt Strom does have 2 saves this year because they've done a lot of those kind of weird bullpen games. So Strom will still get his, but I think it's a Romano's world, and we're just living in it. Cole Reagans to the IL with a groin strain. Reagans dealt with this earlier. They pushed his start back. He made a couple starts. Now he actually goes to the IL this time around. You're obviously holding Cole Reagans. All this kind of grouped this together. Seth Lugo also went on the IL with the middle finger injury, which I think are always the best ones to have if you have to show it off to people. But it basically means, they're going to still find a 5th starter, which is ugly. But anything else standing out to you in this Kansas? You're just holding these guys pretty much.
Yeah, definitely holding both of them. I'm looking at, and we might talk about the one replacement. Yeah, I think we'll get to him. But to your point, they're still missing, per Roster Resource, a 5th starter. Maybe this means that our old buddy, what's his name? Where is he? You loved him all the time in DC's last year.
Alec Marsh.
Maybe Marsh comes back up. But
the memories.
Oh no, he's hurt still. Never mind.
Yeah.
I don't know who the other starter will be for them. It's kind of interesting. So it looks like Wednesday is the free spot. What does RotoWire say? This is interesting.
Yeah, I couldn't find anything last night. It's still up in the air.
They have someone called Luwinder Avila penciled in for the Royals on Wednesday.
Alrighty. Interesting.
I would not be interested in him yet. He has a projected ERA rest of the year 4.99.
That's not going to cut it.
Yeah, so I'll just say Noah Cameron was the actionable ad, and that's it for now.
Yeah, we'll talk about him in a little bit here. Tyler O'Neill of the Baltimore Orioles goes back on the IL, this time with a shoulder impingement. It's always something with him, Ben. It's like we get that decent year where he plays 100 games, hits 30 home runs. Most of the time, this is what we get, injury after injury after injury. So two-party question here. You just drop in Tyler O'Neill if you're having Tyler O'Neill, and how interested are you in Ramon Laureano, who I know most people would scoff at this, but if we're just going back the last week or so, since May 7th, since he started playing kind of regularly in the Baltimore outfield, 353, 2 homers over that stretch with a steal. So thoughts on O'Neill and then maybe a Laureano replacement?
I don't have O'Neill anywhere, but I would definitely drop him most likely if I did at this point, because knowing how some of my teams are, I'm getting a lot of injuries, and he just can't stay healthy. He's not proving that he can. And then with Laureano, yeah, he's got pretty good playing time. 16 at bats, week 6 and 7. Last week he had 18, 2 homers, 2 steals over those 3 weeks. As I don't think he can maybe keep it going, Laureano, but he's definitely more of a 15-team play. I don't know, and OCs or other 12s, I would actually be adding Ramon Laureano, but I think I myself, I haven't been adding or putting Laureano on my bid list when I've needed outfielders, because I was viewing him more as a platoon bat, but it seems like he's actually playing versus righties now. Not I'm looking at the roster resource game log, but I don't know. Is he available still? He's available in 2 of my 4 FAAB leagues, Laureano, that are 15-teamers. So it's not a given that he should be rostered anyway.
Yeah, he's definitely a 15-teamer unless it's a really good league. You could stream him at 12. I'm not running to get Ramon Laureano anytime soon, but the biggest takeaway there for me is I'm with you. Tyler O'Neill, cut the cord there, folks, and move right along. Another guy that I think it's time to cut the cord on already, and this is somebody you picked up in recent weeks, so to get your thoughts here, Evan Carter to the IL with a grade 2 quad strain. It's probably at least a month, if not more, for Carter. It was kind of a slow go once he came off the IL. A couple steals. He has a home run with the batting average below 200. Are you keeping Evan Carter? Are you dropping him? And right now, I don't even want to know about the replacements, because right now Sam Haggerty is scheduled to play center field. That's a joke. If people subscribe to Baseball HQ, I actually wrote up some scenarios of options for the Rangers and ALPT tomorrow that comes out on Tuesday.
Yeah, I unfortunately did cut ties with Evan Carter on my FAAB teams. Yeah, it was promising. I think he had a homer and maybe 3 steals since he was called back up, or I guess called up for the first time this year. But yeah, it's a grade 2 is at least a month. They were tossing around 2 weeks at least. I'm like, that's a grade 1 is at least 2 weeks. A grade 2 is like a month and a half, 2 months probably, unfortunately. But unless he's a quick healer, who knows? I mean, I'll be looking to add him back again because I can't quit Evan Carter now. I guess he's my guy officially. But yeah, definitely cut him.
Yep, I'm with you there. We talked. You mentioned it right at the start of the show here. Reese Olson heads to the IL. This happened about now 45 minutes ago before we started the show with a right ring finger injury. No, they didn't specify what it was. They basically said he'd have to miss a start. Could have maybe come back after that, but they figured just put him on the IL, let him heal up. That's what I just read a second ago. Let him heal up and get another bullpen arm for now. There'll be a bullpen game on Wednesday for Detroit. So knock on wood, it doesn't sound serious, Ben. But any other thoughts? This is very, very fresh, so we don't know a ton about it just yet.
No, very frustrating though. I don't know if I said on the air, but I was telling you I have Reese Olson on 4 of my 10 teams. Yep. So this is very annoying. But as for a replacement, I think the Tigers are already going to have a 6-man rotation this week. They actually have 7 different starters on RotoWire right now. Some Gunther guy, then Scooble, Herter, Flaherty, Job, Mize, and Montero on Sunday. So yeah, well, I think I mentioned Montero last week. He's more of a 15-team flyer, but doesn't get a lot of strikeouts. I mean, Brant Herter could be something. He could just be an actual follower. Like they're putting Herter, there's a placeholder, and someone opens, and then Herter follows. That could be useful in the daily league at this point. But yeah, it stinks that Olsen is going to miss some time because he was really breaking out this year.
Nope, I totally agree with you on that, breaking out a big way. So That's the bummer. You mentioned Casey Mize, hopefully back at the end of this week. So that's a tentative return as well. A couple more bits of news here. Matt Shaw was recalled by the Cubs to take over third base. He's hitting ninth on Monday and literally just struck out as we got to him on this. So he's picking up right where he left off with the Cubs. He was raking at AAA. He looked horrible in that batting. He chased 2 pitches way out of the zone. I'm like, good Lord, man. Let's hope it's only one at bat, but I was hoping for much better improvements at the plate here. Any thoughts on Shaw? It got announced, like it was speculated that it was coming up late yesterday, so he could have made a FAAB move. We've kind of talked about it in the last couple of weeks. Like, hey, he's going to be back pretty soon. So if you want to start stashing, go ahead and stash. Any interest in a Matt Shaw on his return? Because I cut him a lot of places. I didn't really get that aggressive on the return.
Yeah, I'm mildly interested. I do have Shaw on my 12-team home keeper league, and we have it's on Yahoo, so there's the NA spots where it's for minor leaguers. And I had Shaw there, so I actually activated him for tonight. And so far, 0 for 1. But I want to make the joke in the Discord that he could suck at 3 spots, but that's only in Yahoo because he's second, third, and short on Yahoo.
Only Yahoo, baby. Only Yahoo.
Yeah. I mean, when I saw that, I'm like, yeah, I'm definitely going to take a stab on him because that's a pretty good backup for a small bench. But yeah, I think he was getting added, Shaw, 2 weeks ago in main events. At least that's my first. Should have been. Because I think the note came out that he was probably going to get called up pretty soon. And I think people saw that and they're like, okay, well, let's try to add him for cheap. And I mean, depending on how the week goes, maybe he's dropped again. But I think fantasy managers and the Cubs will give him a little more leash than that. But yeah, not a good start to the call back up for Shaw.
Not at all. Another bad situation in Chicago. Shota and Monaghan, we finally got some news. We never really got a full, it felt like, diagnosis on the hamstring situation from Shota. On Monday, a little bit ago, actually, they said Shota will not throw off a mound till the end of next week, and he won't return likely until late June is kind of where they're leaning with this. So it sounds like a pretty bad hamstring situation here, Ben, or they're being super cautious. I can't decide what just yet. Watching Ben Brown pick, so they might be more serious because they might want him back sooner. But I'm still holding Shota, obviously, but this stinks.
Yeah, I did not know. I think you must have added that in real time because I don't remember seeing that on the outline when we started. I have showed on 2 main events and then I think on another DC. It's very frustrating. I mean, at least it's a hamstring, but it's just like I don't get why pitchers keep hurting their hamstrings. I don't know. It feels like a very avoidable injury, and the way the Cubs handled it with the cramping at first, and then I don't know if it was the same hamstring, but he had the cramp to start before, then he was fine, then he pulled the hamstring after that. So definitely annoying, but it seems like they're being cautious. I feel like I don't know if they ever said that there was
I never saw the grade. They might have said it, but I never saw it anywhere.
Yeah, I'm trying to scroll through right now, and
so it sounds like a grade 2 right about now. The way the timetable's playing.
Yeah, it sounds more like grade 2 because we were kind of saying that with whoever we're talking about before. Reagan's or Lugo. I forget who it was. No, it was Evan Carter. He had a grade 2 quad. So now, yeah, but definitely hold, like you said. It's just very frustrating that the information has been very upfront with this injury.
And it basically means Cade Horton's going to stick around for a bit, barring something crazy happening. So for those of you that took a chance on him, you're going to get to see him a lot, potentially, to see if it was worth the addition. Because that's one of the things, like we talked about last week, I wasn't that optimistic. So I didn't think it'd be a long time in the bigs. And,
whiffed on that one. He gets some Marlins this week.
Well, we'll see. We'll see how that goes. So far, they may not be the best case scenario. Last bit of news you added to the show here just recently. It's a good talking point as well. Ian Happ is expected back in the middle of the week from his oblique injury. Because originally, if people remember, they weren't going to put him on the IL. And they're like, oh, screw it. Let's put him on the IL, call up Moises Ballesteros, get Happ fully healthy. So to your point, good question. Is this the end for Moises Ballesteros? Because he's pretty much just been a DH right now. He's not really doing much, not even playing every day. It feels like he would be the man going back to AAA in this scenario.
I think so. And this is kind of why I wasn't even, we'll get to our FAAB, but I didn't even put bids in for Ballesteros anywhere, I don't think. So I think if you did spend some significant FAAB on him, it may have been for naught.
I'm with you as well. So with that being said, let's talk about people that spent significant money in FAAB this week. Ben, let's recap the Week 9 FAAB that is. And we always like the smile on your face because there's always somebody that spends money where it's like, wow. But every once in a blue moon, it pans out. This year, Ben, it doesn't feel like it's panned out nearly as often as it has in the past. It's been a rough go for the high bidding, and still have a ways to go, but most people aren't going to have any money to find out about that going forward. So for those, again, I say it every show. So those that are new to the process here, we recap the NFBC OC's 12 teamers because most people play 10s and 12s, discuss the most added players for the week, and then we'll discuss some other players throughout the show as well. We'll throw in some 15-team data as well, but just kind of give you an idea of who's getting added in case, maybe you're in a Yahoo or an ESPN or CBS. You could go take a peek at these guys. This might be something worth checking out. So we'll start at the top here. And this is one, Ben, I love the talent of Logan Henderson. I really wanted to add Logan Henderson, but once I kept looking at news on Sunday, I had to lower my bids a little bit. And it's because Logan Henderson is going to pitch on Tuesday versus Milwaukee. Saivali is supposed to return over the weekend. Woodruff's throwing a rehab start on Wednesday. He should return next week, barring anything crazy happening there, which means on paper, Logan Henderson may only get one, if not two starts. A lot can change. There's a lot of injuries in this Brewers situation, but Logan Henderson was the most added player in 12s, 183 leagues, as high as 171 with a low of 8. So there was no dollar Logan Henderson's, which again, shocker in most of these formats. Just real quick for reference sake before I let you run with this, he was only available in 4 main events, as high as 160, as low as 82. So very aggressive, even if it is one start in the main events. He's been great through his first 2 starts, tons of strikeouts, like 16 Ks and 11 innings, only 2 walks. He's looked the part, but just playing time's the question. Ben, where were you at on Logan Henderson? Like I said, I had bids everywhere. I just wasn't aggressive enough.
Well, I kind of mentioned already with Matt Shaw, but I did have Henderson on that home keeper league, so I was stashing him on my NA spot there, and I was able to activate him for last start, which went very well. I did get Henderson in one spot. It wasn't a main event, unfortunately. Well, I guess it depends on what ends up happening, but I did, and to your point, I did lower my bid eventually after this realizing of how in flux the Brewers rotation is right now with guys coming back potentially, and for whatever reason, they don't want to keep Henderson up when they want to keep Quinn Priester and Chad Patrick in the rotation instead. I don't know why. Maybe they just want to lose or be mediocre. That's a good way to do it. So, yeah. And also in the league that I got him, I was running low on FAAB to begin with, so I didn't want to waste it. And I still got him. And I think part of the reason that Henderson's price was so high is because he's projected for the Sunday start versus the Pirates. So it's a pretty nice 2-step because the Orioles have been struggling. That's who he faces Tuesday. And then the Pirates are the Pirates. So it's definitely an appealing two-step week for him. Yeah, to your point, like a 13K per 9, that's it's a 40% K rate so far in his limited sample. The XFIP and XERA and the FIP are all around 3 or lower than 3. So yeah, he's been a stud so far. Of course, a high left on base percentage, but that's what's going to happen in these small samples. So I just hope that he sticks around. I mean, I guess in terms of the main event, it'd be nice if he doesn't stick around because then my competitors won't have a good starter on their hands. But I think that he has the talent where he should stick. I just don't know if the Brewers are going to do it.
Yeah, I'm 100% with you on that. Like, he really should stick around, but they seem to not want to do the right thing. But time will tell. Quintana's on the IL. So like I said, Savali's coming back. Woodruff's coming back. But in roundabout, it's 3 guys on the IL. So he might get more chances sooner than later. Like, honestly, here's the real question. If you added him this week, and if he gets sent down after this next start, do you hold him?
It's all team dependent. Like, if I can afford a stash, I would. But if I have other injured guys, I might have to. I mean, that would have played a role in me bidding on him too. But if I had Henderson going into the weekend and I kept him, like a lot of people in the main event did, okay, probably keep him still. But yeah, it's a tough decision to have to make depending on what happens to the rest of your team. Yeah,
like I have a team right now that has Shota and Cole Reagans on the IL, so there's no way I can stash Logan Henderson.
Oh, I have that too. Nice. I have that combo.
No, I have so much Cole Reagans and Shota this year. Like, this weekend was not great for the heart. Let's put it that way. All right. Next up, Jordan Romano. We kind of hinted at this earlier. Picked up in 168 leagues, as high as $555, as low as $11 in main events. Romano was added in 5 leagues, as high as $312, as low as $176. Just for reference here, since we learned how to do this a couple weeks ago, the $555 was the highest, and it was $333. There was like 7 $300 bids. Most of the bids were in the 200s. Let's put that in the 12-teamers. So only a couple monsters. $555 is insane, but maybe they need a lot of saves. Maybe they had Alvarado. Who knows? I wanted Romano. You know me, I don't bid a lot. I got up to like 97 to 120. Still got no Romano. So I was like, well, There we go. So where were you at on this situation? We kind of talked about it a bit earlier.
Yeah, I think he was available in my main event where I've been rolling out the Rockies / Marlins closer along with Ryan Walker. But like I didn't want to. Like, I've been spending my FAAB up until this point, so I didn't want to go extremely high in case we get the shitty Romano. Excuse my language, but the Romano of old that before this last couple of weeks, and it's just. I think I was like at 154, and he went for 208, I believe, and then the backup was 180. So I was at least third in my bids. But I mean, he looks like he's kind of going back to being the good Jordan Romano. And like I forget how detailed we got with the news, but I don't think that Strom's going to be a big threat to the save share with the Phillies. I think it's just really if Romano can keep being good. So I get. It's hard to find like a stud closer like he has been at this point in the season. So I get the big bids on him. I was in the mid 150s. So I felt that was pretty competitive. You never really know with how people expect closers to go. Like Will Vest was going kind of less than what I was bidding. And I don't know how different of a situation it is because it looks like Will Vest is kind of the guy now in Detroit, but I was able to get him on that one main event for $100 less. Probably. So I don't know. It's always hard to nail down what people think about the closers, but yeah, I get adding Romano. We'll never go 555 or even the 300s, but I don't know. Maybe I should have gone 200, but it's easy to say now that it's past.
Yeah, I'm with you. That's why I figured, like in my brain, this is why FAAB is just this science that I don't know if I'll ever fully figure out. Some guys are really, really good at narrowing things down. It was especially with the higher bids, it gets really tough for me to navigate. I was sitting there going, okay, there's been a lot of money spent. Guys are going to need to save some. We're only in week 9 for crying out loud. We have 18 more weeks to go after this type deal. Like all these scenarios in my brain, and nope, doesn't matter. Doesn't matter at all. We let them rip. We let them rip on this one. So I guess I'll have more money to spend going forward. That's where we'll fit in here. All right, the next one. This one I was very active on this week. Drake Baldwin of the Atlanta Braves picked up in 137 leagues, as high as 75, as low as $1 in OCs. In main events, he was picked up in he was one of the more out of players in 34 leagues, as high as 153, as low as 13. Drake Baldwin over the last 10 games, hitting .571 with 3 home runs, 9 RBIs, only on 11% K rate, which is outstanding. He's been improving the entire season, which has been great to see. I'll talk about my ad drops later with Baldwin. I definitely they're DHing him. They're playing him at catcher. They're hitting him at second in the order. I dropped the likes of Dylan Dingler and Edward Caro for him, and I'll explain more on that later when we talk ad drops. But I mentioned this on the FAAB show last week with Ryan, and I'm pretty sure people that listen to that show. But if you don't, I dug deep into why I was interested in him. Now they said he's going to sit versus the 2 lefties this week, so maybe that's still going to be a thing. Keep that in mind. But overall, this kid could be a stud even if he gets 4 to 5 games a week and maybe more depending on the schedule. I'm very optimistic in what we're seeing with Drake Baldwin going forward. Where were you at on him this week, Ben? Because I even dropped Carson Kelly in one league, but we'll talk more about that later.
Interesting. Yeah, I think he was available, Baldwin, in a handful of my leagues. I didn't go. I'd have to go back and check, but I remember seeing him in free agency in at least one league. I didn't really bid on him. I kind of felt like I've been set at catcher, but then hearing you say that you dropped Caro for him, I do have Caro on a couple teams. I don't know if Baldwin's available on those teams, for example, but yeah. So I pulled up Sean Murphy's stats, and he has 8 homers and a 800 plus OPS. So I get that Baldwin is the young prospect, but I don't know. Like teams go through these stretches where they will sit guys for seemingly no reason and then play other guys, and then I don't know if that's what's happening now, because as it is right now, Murphy is the short side of the platoon between the two of them. Yep. I guess if you get a stretch of 7 righties in a row, then Murphy's going to have to play just because it's a catcher and they need time off. So he'll still get his at bats, but I think I probably had some of the rookie bias going into this, and also feeling that I didn't need to spend money at catcher because I kind of had addressed it already. So it's maybe a miss on my part, but I mean, seeing Baldwin start the 2 weekend games, I think was a big thing, because before that it was either every other game or every like 4 games was what he was doing. So it's like a last minute. Okay, he started 3 of 4 now. So I don't know. I think when I was looking at the weekly stats for him, it was not a lot of playing time, and I think the last 2 games on Saturday and Sunday put him up to 18 at bats for a week, which is a starter essentially. But before that, he had like 8, 5, 11, some power. So I didn't know if it was going to sustain with Baldwin, and that's why I didn't really bid. But yeah, to your point though, he barely strikes out. He is the most Ks he's had in a week is 3 right now. Not that he's getting a lot of at bats, but he's walking a little bit, so he's definitely doing well. Look, like when Murphy, the Braves love using 2 catchers because Murphy was the guy.
That's one major part for me. Yes,
Darno was always a thorn in Murphy's side, so it could be like the Cub situation, which you alluded to when he dropped Carson Kelly, but I don't know. I just I didn't really want to risk bidding on someone where I don't know if the playing time will be there.
And that's fair. That's very fair. For me, it was, I think, I wanted to jump on this now because if I didn't, that was never going to happen, Theory, because he's gone everywhere this weekend. I like the improvements. The fact they want to play him, to me, is a plus. One of the big things you mentioned there is the Braves have shown in the past with D'Arnaud, like they almost go 50-50 in that catching situation, and they use the hot hand when necessary. Murphy's also not been the pillar of health in his last couple of seasons, so I'll use that. What I like with Baldwin is the plate skills, like the strikeouts we talked about. He's adjusted. He had that, comes out, struggled early to get used to pitching. Now he's like going through the good stuff again. So maybe he's hit that, the adjustment phase. Anything can happen. It could fall back on his face, but I could do it now. So I dropped Edward Caro because I love him. I still have him in a handful of leagues because I wasn't able to get Baldwin everywhere or whatever. But like Edward Caro, he's good. He's hitting 280, but no home runs, 10 RBIs. It's probably better for deeper leagues, but I need a little, like, no stolen bases. So the average is good. He's doing a little bit of, like, he's sitting in the middle of the order. But there's really no ceiling right now where Baldwin provides a ceiling in theory. When we talk about Kelly, this is one that I really dug into because I've heard some other shows talk about, oh, he's been so great. He's been so great. He was so great is the keyword, or been is even the keyword. He was. He has been very, very good. If you just look at the month of May, we'll just narrow it down to that. It is basically a strict platoon with Amaya. Amaya's actually starting to play a little more often back there, but Kelly's hitting 195 in May with 1 home run and 2 RBIs. So it has started to slow down rapidly when it comes to Carson Kelly. So I'm jumping ship there. There's a replacement available in that situation. And then Dylan Dingler's doing something similar. He's trying to strike out a lot more. And my only concern with him is I still like him probably the most out of the 3 because I think he at least has the power upside and the skills there. But Jake Rogers is starting a rehab assignment this week, and they like Jake Rogers' defense in Detroit. So that was just like a slight concern in the back of my head. And that kind of made it all like, okay, so if they're all going to be platoon bats in theory pretty soon, I'll take the guy with the ceiling, is what it came down to. Could be wrong. It was just a chance I was willing to take.
The drop of Kelly for him makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, because I think people are so many, like, you still see it on Twitter, you hear it on other shows, like they're still like living in that like amazing run he was on to start the year. But if you like sit there and look at it for a second, it's been pretty bad lately, like pretty bad. So we'll see. Now, this is a blast from the past. Will Benson of the Cincinnati Reds has been recalled lately and is thriving, which led to 131 leagues adding Will Benson for as high as 151, as low as $1. Since Benson was recalled on May 10th, he's hitting 423 with 5 home runs. Those 5 home runs came in all 4 of the last games they played, all in Great American Small Park, by the way. But we've seen Benson have time. He's shined like this in the past, Ben. I wasn't that in on him. Where were you at on Will Benson?
Well, before I give my thoughts on Benson, I'm looking at the ads by team. Someone named Redleg added him on 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 at least. And he had the top 10 bids on Benson in the OC. So the highest minus this guy was 74. So we'll put that into perspective. That makes a little more sense. But yeah, for me in the main event, I was around, I think I was like teens maybe with Benson because he's a platoon bat. And then also on top of that, he had 3 games in a row, and then he made it 4 on Sunday. So I mean, once I saw the 2-homer game on Sunday, as I was adjusting my bids, I was like, okay, there's no way that I'm going to be getting him because people are going to see 5 games in 4 days and they're going to go nuts. I haven't been able to look at the main event bidding yet, but it's just it's a classic Sunday performance. I mean, it's basically a weekend performance for him. So he has flash upside in the past, Benson, but with some pretty big downside in terms of average. So he was 11-19 and only 287 at bats in 2023, and then 2024 Benson had 343 at bats, went 14-16 homers and steals, and that's when he hit the 187. It was actually 275 in 2023, oddly enough. So he has some power and speed. It's just the platooning, and I just thought it was like that Sunday FAAB boost that people always talk about, and it was literally this with Benson. So, and I think on top of it, the Reds are facing three lefties in their first 4 games.
That
so
too.
You can't even start Benson Monday through Tuesday in NFBC format. So hopefully you enjoy your shiny new toy on the bench.
And that was my problem. It's like, and my other thing is, okay, so you probably just got his best week on not even on your team, which is gonna be frustrating. And Jake Fraley will come back eventually. Yeah, that's, I'm assuming, means Benson's out of the way again, at least to the bench. So right away you can, I guess, play with the hot new toy, but I would have definitely tempered my expectations on that one. Miguel Vargas picked up in 125 leagues, as high as 119, as low as $1. This one just kind of makes me feel good when I see these kind of things, Ben, because I've had Miguel Vargas rostered for a while, and I've started him for a while. I've been trying to talk about this. I've written about it like multiple weeks on the Patreon. In the month of May, hitting 296, 5 homers, 12 RBIs, striking out less than 10% of the time, which is probably the best takeaway from the entire thing for Miguel Vargas. The reason I jumped on him a few weeks ago, you saw the quality of contact metrics get better and better and better with the kid. Once a former top prospect. Now, the team contact sucks. Nothing we can do about that. But I think he's going to be pretty darn good overall. Like, he's going to have his ups and downs. I'm not going to say he's going to be perfect all year, but a third base outfield eligible dude, I think there's a lot to like there. So I was already in on him, but there was 125 more shares picked up this week for as high as 119. Thoughts on Miguel Vargas?
Yeah, this is the case of the main event being ahead of him, because I think after the week where he went 8 for 23 the homer, I think people were saying, okay, maybe he's breaking out now finally. And this is what I was hoping for last year when I added Vargas in teams. He was pretty bad last year, unfortunately, when he first got traded to the White Sox. But I do have him in my 12-team league, so I do have a piece of the production, luckily. I think I did sit one of the 2 homer games, unfortunately, but I got him in there afterwards. So I pulled up Vargas's StatCast, and yeah, you said it. The metrics improved at least, but they're still pretty mediocre, at least in terms of the hard hit, the barrel rate, XBA, xSlug. They're all below 50th percentile. But the one positive is that his rolling xWOBA has gone from about 250 all the way up to like 360 over the last 100 plate appearances. So that's a pretty nice steady incline. So maybe he was just so bad to start out that the numbers are taking forever to catch up. But yeah, he's 25. He's getting full plate appearances on the White Sox, which it does have its value. That's why we liked Edgar Caro, because he's playing a lot, batting high in the lineup. Even if it's a bad team, that's still plate appearances, and that's what we want. So yeah, I like the add in for Vargas. I'm kind of waiting for it to collapse at some point, but who knows? Maybe it doesn't. He could finally just be getting comfortable and is getting regular playing time, and it does wonders for a young player.
Yeah, and that's, like I said, like kind of preface, I'm expecting like a slump to take place. I'm not oblivious to this situation, but yeah, it's been a fun run while we can get it. Hayden Birdsong picked up in 123 leagues, as high as 169, as low as $1. He was announced over the weekend he's going to take over the rotation spot of Jordan Hicks, who goes to the bullpen. Birdsong will start on Tuesday against the Kansas City Royals. Couple of tough matchups the following week, but still like Birdsong quite a bit. We've talked about him a ton in the past. Anything else you'd like to add on him? Because it's going to be a roller coaster. If his command's on, the dude's filthy. But we'll see how that plays out.
Yeah, you nailed it. That's kind of why I was a little hesitant to go too aggressively with my bids on Birdsong, just because so far this year, even so in the bullpen, you think he'd be dominating. He has a 14.9% K- walk. Yep. So pretty. If you're a starter, that's fine, because it's almost a 25% K rate, but it's a little underwhelming for someone coming out of the bullpen. And to your point, he struggled with command last year. So I don't think we talked about it on air, but the other Kyle Harrison is a potential starting option for the Giants as well, and they have other better prospects.
They have a awesome prospect in AAA right now in Wisenhunt that should get a chance any day now. I'd hope, but then again, there's Harrison still in the way, so who knows?
So I feel like Birdsong was last year's Zebby and David Festa, where everyone just loves them, even though they haven't really done anything yet.
Fair comp, yes.
Yeah, and Birdsong had the game versus the Rockies, I think, where he had like 100 strikeouts, but then after that, it wasn't really that good. So, yeah, I mean, I don't think I didn't get him anywhere, Birdsong, but I was in on him. It's just that I wasn't too aggressive because of the command issues.
Yep, I'm with you. Like, I liked him. I was in on him. I wasn't spending a ton of cash, but I was very interested. Like, I'm starting him where I do have him. But yeah, just beware. It's going to be a roller coaster with him. They just announced Justin Verlander is dealing with a pec issue. Hasn't gone on the IL yet, but we'll see where that one lands. Maybe Kyle Harrison gets to start this week, Ben. So you got that going as well. A couple more here. Clayton Kershaw added 118 leagues, as high as 201, as low as $1. Well, there's like 4 other $100 plus bids on Kershaw. Anybody that's listened to me talk on any show knows my thoughts on Clayton Kershaw. This was not even a bid for me this week. Kershaw was added in 118 leagues, like I said, high as 201, as low as $1. Made his return from the IL, 4 innings, 5 earned runs, 3 walks, 2 Ks versus the Angels. Thoughts on Clayton Kershaw?
I had bid list for Kershaw. It's just I was like in the 30s, 20s maybe, depending on the needs or which number bid it was for a starter. If no one was interested in him, then okay, I may get Kershaw. I don't think I ended up getting him. I think the prices in the main events and the other 15 were much higher than what I was willing to spend on him. So yeah, I don't have him anywhere. He's 37, had shoulder, back, probably every body part possible injuries in the last few years. Yeah. So, I mean, I could see him still being productive, Kershaw. It's just I wasn't confident where I wanted to spend a lot of FAAB on it.
Yeah, like, because even if he pitches well, I don't think he goes past 5 innings very often at all. It's basically like, if you like what Justin Verlander's doing, that might be what you got at Clayton Kershaw. So
I don't
that's
like
kind of
that
where
either.
I was thinking about it. Yeah, that's my point. That's kind of where my brain went. I'm like, it's kind of a similar thing to me. Maybe I'm downplaying it a bit, but that's where I'm at on that one. Ryan Weathers added in 100 leagues, as high as 301, as low as 20, because he wasn't available, because he wasn't drafted in most 12s. He was probably long gone in 15s. This was the guy, if you could afford it, go get him. I was not even close on my bids, because, wow, that's all I have to say. But the dude's good. 5 innings, 1 run, 5 Ks against the Cubs in his return. It's just a matter of staying healthy, because we all loved the improvements we saw in spring. Got hurt. Now at least we got to see a little bit of it in one start. How aggressive would you have been? Because I'm pretty sure he wasn't available in your 15s on Ryan Weathers.
I did have a shot in one league. It was the main event that's been doing really well. Nice. But I was like 70s, 80s. I think he went for 150 or 160. I don't know if the wins will be there pitching for the Marlins. And then he all of a sudden started throwing 99 miles per hour. Weathers got hurt. He's back to throwing 99. So I don't know how long he's going to be sticking around for. It was a forearm, right? I think that he had. Yeah,
that's my other concern. Like, I think he's very, very good while out there, but yeah, guys that don't get cut on always concern me.
Yeah, and so in my DCs, no issue, fire him up. But yeah, it's kind of with the Romano point. I spent a lot of FAAB so far, and I don't want to keep spending 100 plus on a player. If it's like a guaranteed, nothing's guaranteed, but like as sure thing as possible. I don't view Weathers in that light right now. He has upside, but there's a lot of downside too. So I didn't want to risk those high bids on him.
Yep, totally agree with you on that one. On Weathers as well. Addison Barger, we touched on last week. Not a whole lot has changed to me. Picked up in 94 leagues, as high as 76. You have anything else to add on Barger?
Just wait and see what happens when Jimenez comes back, which hopefully is this week.
Yeah. Is it Barger or Clement that get the out? I think Clement might be the odd man out, but we'll have to wait and see on that one. I'm glad the news dropped about 20 minutes ago on this one, because this will hit perfectly. Ha-Seong Kim of the Los Angeles Dodgers picked up in 87 leagues, as high as 161, as low as $1. I lowered all of my bids once Edman came back, then lowered them again when Teoscar Hernandez was announced coming back on Monday. Ha-Seong Kim is starting in center field on Monday night. That's a plus. But just recently, Dave Roberts came out and said Kim's going to play 3 to 4 games a week. So with that news, Ben, obviously we didn't have that when bids were made. So there's not a whole lot we can say to that, but that was a concern in my head when I was making my bids. What are your thoughts on Ha-Seong Kim now?
Well, I think he was added all all over the place in main events last week, but now I'm looking at the Dodgers lineup, and I did not know Teoscar was back, so I'm actually trying to add him back into my lineups where I can. Kim sat. Well, yeah, he's played started versus every righty so far in the last 6 days at least.
Sits for all the lefties.
So he is. Well, Edwin was hurt before that. The one sit. Oh, so it looks like today Andy Pages is the odd man out.
Yep.
Maybe that's a platoon then, because Pages would be in versus the lefties, Kim versus the righties. I guess Edmund can sit too. Conforto can sit. So this looks like a kind of messy situation now, potentially, for the Dodgers. So, I mean, but they did cut Taylor and whoever else they cut.
Austin Barnes.
Yeah, Barnes. But, I mean, well, it would make sense to free up the outfield for rushing when he's not catching, but apparently they're not going to do that. So this makes rushing even less appealing now too. Yeah, I don't know. Kim has speed, of course. I don't know how much the power is going to play, so I don't have to worry about this. Luckily, it could be messy with playing time going forward.
It's going to be very messy with Pages out. That made me angry. We were talking about on the Discord for a bit, trying to put all the pieces together here. It's going to be. I want to see. I'm not going to overreact too much just yet. I want to see the whole week plays out, but it doesn't look great, to say the least. Like, there's a lot of moving pieces there right now. And, full playing time is going to be tricky with that squad. Just some kind of highlights here. Will Warren was picked up in 86 leagues, as high as 169, as low as 3. I know I got at least one share. Were you interested in Will Warren? Because he's looked much better over his last 2 starts, but there's still the other, 5 starts before that showcase something else.
Yeah, I don't know how available. I don't think he was very available for me in the 15s. I mentioned the 1 week, I think. I even sat Warren against the Mariners. I've been hesitant to play him in my 1 DC just because of how up and down, to your point, how he's been. But he's definitely turned it around lately. So I get why you would add him, and you kind of alluded to pitching being a mess right now. He's allowed 3 runs over his last 12 1/3 with 16 Ks with only 2 walks. So yeah, it's been a great stretch for him. Yankees really need this right now from Warren. So I get it. This could be bumpy going forward.
Yes, it definitely can be. Next up on the docket here, looking forward to your thoughts on this. Jordan Lawler picked up in 85 leagues, as high as 249, as low as $1. About 6 teams all bid 249 on him. Different team names. I'm assuming the same team owner though. I had no interest in Jordan Lawler just for the fact he's going to play 3 to 4 days a week, like they said, and they stuck to the guns the first week up. They had a 7-game week. He played twice. Obviously, injuries can change things, but I can't spend that kind of cash hoping for injuries. Where were you at on Jordan Lawler?
Yeah, so one of the things I do is I write down lists of names of players who are either getting called up or coming back from injury. Lawler is one of them, and then I think on Saturday I deleted his name from my sheet where I store it. So I did not put a bid in anywhere for Lawler. I need him to play, and he's not playing right now.
Yep. Makes it very complicated to make things work there. A couple more. Noah Cameron picked up in 81 leagues, as high as 102, as low as $1. Cameron was the guy you were talking about with Lugo and Cole Reagans on the IL. Cameron has made 2 starts now. He's gone 6 1/3 in both starts, St. Louis and at Tampa. Not bad. 1 earned run total, 3 strikeouts in both starts. 1 start, no walks. 1 start, 5 walks. So the 5 walks, obviously not ideal. But we're on Noah Cameron. He's a 25-year-old. There's some optimism and hope behind the lefty. Were you interested in him this week?
I was. He was probably third in my list of starting pitcher bids wherever I needed to. Actually, I think I needed pitching on all 4 of my teams, which isn't surprising. But yeah, you kind of pointed out the stats that I was a little concerned with. He has a 2.2 K minus walk so far. That's not very good. He has a 100% left on base percentage and a 0.59 BABIP against Noah Cameron. So something's going to happen. I could see the first start being the kind of nerves, and then that's why he walked so many guys. The swing strike rate, though, in the 2 starts, granted, this is all very small samples, so 8.1% for his swing strike. So not even deserving of Ks, but across the minors, though, it's been like 14% or higher most of the time. But that's double, single, all these other levels. But yeah, it seems like with the injuries that Cameron should be around for a little bit. I don't know how severe I feel like the Reagans one would be more severe than the Lugo one. If the 2 of them come back, it would be Bubic, Lorenzen, Waka, and those two. So Cameron would probably be the odd man out at that point. But it depends on the timetable. So, and for that reason too, I didn't want to spend too much money. I feel like it's kind of like a Cade Horton example, but I think Cade was a better prospect. So kind of that same mindset, but just with a lesser player.
Totally agree. I'm going to start looking at some guys that got added for the most money now. So Romano, Weathers, they're up there. Josh Young was available in one league, Ryan Walker in two. But okay, this is a good one because I talked about how I dropped him in a league this past week. But Sandy Alcantara was picked up in 16 leagues, Ben, for as high as $253, as low as $1. The other bids were $169 and then 64 or less. Couple $1 bids out there as well with Sandy. I keep telling myself it's going to get better. The velocity is still there. It's just getting frustrating in 12s to have to deal with that, especially if you have injuries and need roster space. Sandy has allowed 4 runs or more in 4 straight starts. He's allowed 4 runs or more in 6 of his last 7 starts. He's allowed at least 2 runs in every start. He's not gone more than 6. He's only reached the 6th inning one time, finished 6 innings one time, I should say. So it's a 7.99 ERA, Ben, over 9 starts with a 4.85 Sierra, which is better, obviously, but not great. More concerning to me is the 5.8% K to walk. That has been dreadful. So my question to you, because I kind of already said I'm moving on in 12s. Like, I'll be okay being wrong if he figures it out later. Where are you at on Sandy? Because some people are still very invested.
Yeah, well, I was never invested to begin with, so my opinion is going to be different for, I'm sure, others. But he'd be a hard cut just because of the name in 15s. But so I finally cut Bowden Francis in a main event. I hadn't been playing him, but it feels like Sandy's at the same point. I mean, granted, once the Cy Young winner, one's been up for like less than a full year, but it's like everyone remembers how good Francis was last year, and then I was kind of saying, okay, I'm like, well, I'll let him see if he can figure it out. But then at this point with Sandy, the swing strikes 10%, the walks, the controls out of control, I guess pun intended. And he's not gonna get wins in the Marlins. Yeah, I definitely see dropping him in a 12 and a 15. That'd be so hard to do because you spend probably like a top 150 pick on him. So first 10 rounds on Sandy, which I would not have advised, but that's a different story. I guess the one thing in his favor, well, with quotes, is his left on base against is 53.3%, which is very unlucky. The homer per 9 is also the highest since his rookie year. It's 1.5. The homer to fly ball rate is the highest since that year as well. So, I mean, he's still throwing 97.6 on average per what Fangraphs is showing right here. This is the problem with coming back from Tommy John. The control's not there, and then the stuff's probably not as good as it was pre-injury. So I don't know if he's going to get better anytime soon. So I guess cutting is not it makes sense for sure, especially in 12s. In 15s, I don't know if I'd be able to do it. I probably just want to sit him for now. But if I have a lot of injuries, then maybe I do have to cut him.
Yeah, I just want to get your 15 thoughts on that one because it's not getting better at the moment. And that's the very frustrating spot. Like, I understood the slow go out the gate, but I figured by now we're getting close to 10 starts. Like, I need to see a sign, and I'm not seeing a sign of anything at the moment. We talked about Jordan Lawler. Jake Berger was added in 35 places. That makes sense. Tovar, Dylan Cruz. I know it's only 2 leagues, as high as 205, as low as 61. I want to get your thoughts on Dylan Cruz because I talked about him on Breakfast with Bubba, on today's Breakfast with Bubba, just because, he had a nice game on Sunday. He's kind of getting better of late, hit 231 overs. That's like 10 games with a couple home runs, a couple steals. But as a whole, Ben, it's a 191 average, 6 steals, 11 stolen bases, and a 28% K rate. Like, what's your level of concern with a guy like Dylan Cruz?
Yeah, he's kind of like my Gene Segura, if I'm being honest. I don't think I've sat Cruz anywhere where I have him. I have him on 2 main events. Both are doing not that well. And then I have him on 2 DCs, I think. But I mean, if you look at his counting stats, it's almost 70 runs. It's almost, I think it's like 18 homers multiplied by, I think we're like a third of the way through right now. 30 steals, just below 50 RBIs. It's just really the average that's the issue. And Cruz had that week or 2 weeks, he hit 296 with 2 homers and 3 steals. Then next week he hit 381 with 2 homers, no steals. So I thought he was breaking out at that point. And then he went to then he hit 077, then 100, and now 250 last week. And he has that upside though, where I think the average is going to come back up because he's so fast, and the K rate is higher than it was last year, and that's why I was okay with Cruz this year because he was really BABIP. He was hit hard by poor BABIP last year with his average. His K rate was fine, but now the K rate's bad, and now the average is worse than or as bad as it was last year. So it stings, but I think he's hitting like 6 now sometimes, right? Cruz with the Nationals.
Yeah, he's moving up. Yeah,
he's slowly crawling back up to the top. It's going to be hard to kick out Abrams and Wood from 1 and 2, but if he's hitting 7th or 6th, it's definitely better with his speed. So I don't think you can drop Cruz. I'm waiting for him to get that hot streak where his average gets back up. Because the worst thing you can do is sit him or drop him, and then you miss out on the hot streak.
Yep, I'm with you. He's a tough one for sure. Just a couple more here, and then we'll get to our ad drops for the week. Like Jackson Jobe was added in 21 leagues as high as 201, as low as $1. I've kind of railed about how he's been very underwhelming, even under the hood. He's pitched well in his last start, but maybe that gave some optimism, Ben. Roki Sasaki, I want to get your thoughts on this. Picked up in 2 leagues, as high as 191, as low as $1. Went on the IL. He's been horrible this season for what people paid for. Would you be stashing Roki right now, or would you be moving on from Roki?
Not at all. I pulled up his player notes on NFBC, and he's going to be shut down for a while, and that was 5 days ago. So I don't know why anyone would want to spend $191. It's funny. It was 191 and then 1. I get the 1, but 191, you got to read the notes. That's not good.
That's a rough one. Hopefully it was supposed to be 19 and someone forgot to get rid of that one. I'm just going to give a bit of the doubt on that one. Zebby Matthews was added in 11 leagues because he'll be widely available next week because he pitched on Sunday, so he was not available everywhere, Ben. So Zebby was added in 11 leagues. We'll talk about him next week again. Picked up in 145 leagues, picked up as high as $145, as low as $5 in those 11 leagues. It was not the best coming out party, I guess is the way I'll say it. He threw 3 innings against the Brewers, 4 runs, 3 walks, 5 Ks. I was not nearly as excited as everybody else on Zebby Matthews because I remember the excitement last year, and it didn't really have a ceiling to it. He could be good. I could be just totally wrong, but I guess I spend more on rookie catchers than rookie pitchers, I guess, is what it's coming down to this year. Shocker to everybody. Where were you on a guy like Zebby Matthews were available?
I think he wasn't widely available in my 4 leagues because he was drafted in, I think, a lot of 15s, so he was I think he was added in a ton of spots this week.
He was only available in 1 main event, added for $205.
Okay, yeah, so people already, I think it was the listener league where I had a bid in for Zebby, and I ended up getting Logan Henderson instead. But yeah, whatever the league it was, I lowered the bid once I saw the results for that start. And I forget who was facing the Brewers this week, but they haven't been that good lately versus righties. So it's kind of concerning to see this prized player that everyone speaks so highly of, and they've been wanting him called up for so long to not do too well his first start out. But I had him at the top of my list, but it wasn't for $100+. It was like 60, 70 maybe. And if I didn't get him, I was fine with it because I kind of said it with Birdsong. These guys have all this hype, but who knows how they're actually going to do. Last year Zebby was awful. I mean, it was more like bad driven, it looks like, and he had good K and walk numbers in his innings, but the results were really bad. So who knows? It's definitely didn't get off to a good start. So I'm kind of fine right now, not getting him anywhere.
All right. The last player I'm going to ask about your thoughts on is Dalton Rushing of the Los Angeles Dodgers. Picked up in 52 leagues, not available everywhere yet in OCs. As high as 110, as low as $1. Dalton Rushing started 2 games since being called up, pinch hit on Sunday. He's got 4 hits. He's hitting 400 over that stretch, 4 runs, 2 RBIs. My question, though, Ben, they already said he's just the backup to Will Smith, so he'll play a couple times a week. Maybe he gets a DH here and there. Who knows? We already talked about how crowded everything else is with Kim and the company. You said you didn't bid on Ballesteros. I didn't bid on him or Rushing. I was just like, I'm out. Where were you at on Dalton Rushing? Because some other people were quite excited. Yeah,
remember how I said I deleted Jordan Lawlar off my list? I did the same thing with Ballesteros and Rushing. I can't. When he's going to catch twice a week, I heard people saying that it's better than some options. I mean, who are you playing if two games a week is better than your catcher 2? I mean, that's pretty poor. You're looking at most 8 at-bats. and that's nothing if you're lucky. So yeah, I mean, until they make a change where they're, and I kind of alluded to it when we talked about Kim, if Rushing starts playing the outfield, okay, it's a different story, but he's not playing first, he's not DHing. He's going to get some catching time, but unless Will Smith gets hurt, he's got to play the outfield rushing, or it's going to be a kind of a Jordan Lawler situation.
Yep, I totally agree with you there. But all right, Ben, if you're ready, let's get to the ad drops for the week. What took place in your world?
All right, let me pull up my transaction page. All right, is this right? Maybe I did get him. So New Jersey, Maine, I added J.P. Crawford. I dropped Brooks Baldwin. This was the bet side of the unicorn bet. It was 18-18. And then I got Taijuan Walker, dropped Bryce Elder 18-1. People don't like Taijuan Walker anymore, I guess. He's actually pitching really well. He's 31 Ks and 34 and a third, 14 walks only. He's got a 2.55 ERA, a 1.22 WHIP. Gets the Rockies. I figure, okay, might be a little attractive, but maybe not. And then this was more of a flyer. I definitely overbid. Someone had dropped Jordan Walker, and I added him, dropped Evan Carter 16-0 just to see what maybe Walker gets hot. Then here I was actually pretty busy in this league. And then I added Logan Evans, dropped Bowden Francis 8-0, and I added Davis Martin, dropped Jordan Hicks 8-0. So trying to what's the opposite of deplete? I was trying to refill the pitching staff in that one. A lot of drops there. And then main event 2, I added. I talk about this guy next week in the OC. It's Ryan Nelson. I dropped Patrick Corbin.
Wow.
Thank you for that stream. 28-22. I added JT Ginn. Dropped Calvin Fauché. I'm rolling with Jesus Sunoco as my RP2 now. Finally, 22-11. And then this guy, I kind of have to credit you for saying his name and for me to first know who he was. But I added Matthew Lugo. Dropped James Outman 14-9. And I think I'm playing Lugo this week. They have 7 games.
You should be 7-game week for like 3 or 4 in Sacramento. You should be. You better be.
Yep.
He's hitting 7th, I think, to start on Monday night. So yes.
But great speed. He's hit some homers so far. Pretty good prospect. I looked up his minor league numbers, so I was impressed. And he's been playing a lot for the Angels, so I'm like, let's give it a shot.
Yep.
And then main event 3, I added Taijuan Walker here. Dropped Simeon Woods Richardson 16-0. And then this one, I figured why not. So I added Jock. I dropped Evan Carter 8-1. I feel like Jock's going to go on a massive hot streak at some point, and I hope I have him on this team when that happens. And they face the White Sox on the weekend. I think 3 righties. So if we play him for the weekend series, see if he can hit a homer or 2 versus that terrible pitching staff, and hopefully keep him. And then lastly, the Bubba in the Bloom Listener League, I added Logan Henderson here. Dropped Bowden Francis 64-23. I added Hunter Dobbins, dropped Sean Burke 12-1, added Addison Barger, dropped Evan Carter 12-8, and then added JT Ginn again, dropped Jordan Hicks 12-0.
All righty, let's get to mine here. My first OC, or no, that's not the one we want. Let's get to the first OC. All right, picked up Yu Darvish, dropped Ryan Gusto. Gusto might get another start here and there, but I wanted to stash Yu Darvish. He has like one more rehab start, and he's coming back. Like I said on the FAAB pod, I'd rather have Darvish than Kershaw going forward. I'll roll my dice on that one. We'll see. But got Darvish for $12, no runner up. I guess I was too excited there. I added, well, it wasn't my top pick in a lot of places, but it was up there. I got Spencer Horwitz, first base, second base eligible, returned on Saturday. Dropped Zach DeZenzo, who I still like quite a bit, but I need help in the infield, not the outfield in that league. So $6, no runner up there. Got Drake Baldwin, dropped Carson Kelly in this one 6-1. So nice cheapie there. Added Addison Barger, dropped Caleb Durbin 4-1. Durbin's been, if he's not stealing bases, he's worthless to me. And then I got JT Ginn, dropped Cade Povich 3-0. For the Cade Povich folks out there, it's been a roller coaster. Pitched great again his last start. Tough start this week. Interesting 2-step next week. So I wanted to hold him where I could, but you got to move on at times. Beat Bubba OC, added Brandon Marsh, dropped Luis Urias 7-0. Marsh is sitting in game 1 in Coors. That's great, but they got four in Coors, I think 3 in Sacramento or vice versa. So good week. And then one of the leagues I apparently didn't have Miguel Vargas. I added him this week. Added Miguel Vargas, dropped Caleb Durbin 4-0. Like if I'm going to take a guy that's multi-position and a coin flip, I'll take Vargas all day. One of my 250 standalones got Will Warren, dropped Wisniewski, who's done for the year 11-0. got the Hog, Gunnar Hoglund, or the Hoagie, depends on how you want to go about it. This is where I dropped Sandy 7-2. It's in a standalone league. Added Brandon Marsh, dropped Urias 7-0. Added Michael Conforto, dropped Zenzo 6-5 in that one. Conforto's starting to swing it well. Now we'll see how the playing time plays out with all these moving parts here. But Conforto is starting on Monday, which is a plus. And I just wanted to highlight it. I highlighted it, I think, on the FAAB show. But since May 10th, yes, it's a small sample, but it could be a sign of things to come. It's been 8 games. He's hitting .321. 5 doubles, 4 runs, no RBIs. Like, you want more than that. I'm not clueless. But what stood out to me with Conforto over the stretch, 14% barrel rate, almost a 53% hard hit rate. So we're seeing things move in the right direction for Conforto. So I wanted to jump on that train. In the Vegas Bubba in the Bloom 250 draft, I got Dennis Santana dropped Gusto 11-0. Spencer Horwitz dropped Luis Urias 6-0. And then at the bottom of one of my pitching waterfalls, because everyone went high, pitching's very hard to get in this league. So I got a Joe Boyle share for $1. Drop Miguel Andujar. Boyle is dominating AAA for the Rays. It might take an injury to get Boyle up, but I really, really am looking forward to when that takes place. Bubba in the Bloom listener auction league got Drake Baldwin, dropped Elias Diaz 76-47. Added the Rowdy man, Rowdy Tellez, who's been crushing it lately. A lot of righties on tap for the Mariners. Dropped Dane Myers, who I got Myers to last week 3-0. Easy drop there. In my OLAC, got Drake Baldwin, dropped Dylan Dingler 64-43. Added Horwitz, dropped Kierstead 17-1. Added Matthew Lugo, dropped Kyron Paris 12-2. And I added Patrick Corbin, dropped Ben Kasperius 11-0. God, I want Kasperius to be something, but that has not happened. And that's all the ones you need to hear. But, it was a very productive week. And I got a few Corbin shares rolling this week, so it looks like I'm rolling alone compared to most people I've heard, including yourself, on that one, because it's a scary one. I'll be honest. That first one against the Yankees is one I just in the Bronx. It's gonna be a dicey one.
I couldn't do it. I'm like, I might as well. I'll take the 9Ks, and I don't know if you got the win, but he had a sub-1 whip, and I'll run.
Nope, I get it. I respect it. A couple listener questions from the chat here from Frank. Where does Jordan Lawler fit in the D-backs on the bench?
Damn it, I was going to say it. I'll say AAA.
Sorry. Yeah.
I was going to say the bench.
That's kind of where it's been. Any thoughts on a possible closer in Texas? Sean Armstrong's been getting some looks. He wasn't aware that Chris Martin's 38. Yeah, Chris Martin left after another quick outing on Sunday. Luke Jackson got a little bit of pitching in that one. Seems like Armstrong's the guy for now, but overall, I'm just avoiding the situation, Ben.
Yeah, even in that one-man event where I have Tinoco, I didn't even mess around with this yet. I figured it seemed like a contusion for Luke Jackson. So at that point,
it's just swelling. Yeah, it's just swelling at this point.
You got hit by the pitch or by the ball. So
117 miles an hour. So yeah, that's going to take
definitely
some time.
hurt.
That's going to sting. Leave a mark, one might say. Then Frank says, what are we doing with Andrew Vaughn and Ryan McMahon? So we'll start there. Highlighted Vaughn on last Thursday's FAAB show. I'm thinking he's worth at least a 15-team look. McMahon, he's in Coors this week, so cross your fingers. Thoughts?
Well, this always works this way. So I think I sat Vaughn on one of my teams where I have him for that 2-homer week or whatever it was. I was so frustrated. And then I started him again. I think he went like 2 for 20 the following week. Yeah, in 15s, you can't really drop Vaughn. McMahon was dropped one of my main events. I did go after him. I think I was the runner-up, unfortunately. Yep. In 12s, I get moving on potentially, but I don't know who you're going to replace at the corners with, or replace them with, like in terms of available corners. I don't know who's really out there right now. It's hard to. I mean, I don't know if I would want to add Rowdy over one of those guys, for example.
Yeah, that's been my conundrum. Like, I know McMahon has struggled, but I still would take him at least as half his Coors games over a lot of people. So it's tough. It's very tough. He says, are we watching Rowdy Tellez or Miguel Andujar instead? Probably not, to your point. Slim pickings, but Brett Beatty is available. Yeah, Beatty should stay available in my book. I know Ryan's a Brett Beatty guy. I don't know about you.
Oh, man. I think, he was added widely, I think, last week, right, on the show?
Yeah, he's been added since he started playing regularly. He's been a popular addition.
Well, yeah, he's got a homer. He's had 5 homers last 3 weeks. Well, he was down for one of those or hurt. I guess there's upside with Beatty, but I just wouldn't have high expectations. I don't think I'd want him ahead of McMahon and Vaughn.
Yep, that's fair. Very, very fair. Well, we did it. Another FAAB episode in the book, Ben. Any final thoughts? Week 9 is done. So like I said, I think it's like roughly 17, 18 more weeks to go. No one's counting, but just throwing it out there. Long ways to go. And I've seen a lot of budgets are in the 2s and 300s in a lot of leagues for people. Not me just yet, thank God. But like some of those, when I was recapping some of my leagues where I was like extra high and got a no runner-ups, I still had like almost $800. I'm like, I have to start getting people. So we're going to start raising the price a bit to fill my needs. But a lot of my leagues are in the 4 to 500 range. I'll put it that way.
My listener league's at 337, I believe. That's my low one. That's the week where I was reckless and I spent too much on Paris and Veen and some other poor decisions. But yeah, I'm like in the 500s or 400s depending on the league. So kind of that range. Yeah, that 800s, you got to start finding some good guys to add there, Bubba.
Yep. Yeah, that's a problem. This is my thing where I get too timid and I miss out on potentially, like, that's where I get going, well, at least no one's really broken out from these high bids because I would have felt really crappy. But yeah, we'll see who comes up and I can spend some money. I should have been more aggressive on Weathers, possibly, with the forearm is in the back of my brain, like you said as well. So it's hard to get too aggressive there. Yeah. We'll see what this week's brings, folks. Ben Brown did calm down a bit, starting to get hit around again in the 4th. So we'll see where that one lands. But a lot of baseball this week. Everyone's playing at least 6 games, if not 7 games. So baseball early, often all week. We'll hopefully be back with you guys early next week to recap the Week 10 FAAB once again. But until then, go wish Ryan Bloomfield a happy birthday. It's his birthday, Monday, May 19th. So go check that out. And check out, Big 4-0. He's the Big 4-0. Remind him of that because he reminds me of that all the time for a couple years now. So remind him of that when he tells you his groin is hurting once again. Check out Ben on Twitter at BreakingBen_T. I am at BDendrick. And for now, this is Bench with Bubba, episode 765. Catch you all next time.